This is HBR News number 469. Nice. Telegram CEO arrested by the French. Women are using ChatGPT to check on their men's height. We discuss the news of the week and give it the Badger treatment.
Nice. And what's Ford doing? Just watching?
Yeah, it looks like it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. Hope you're having a great week and that you're laughing at all of this absurdity so that you're not consumed by it. I am your host, Brian Martinez, and I'm joined by my lovely co-hosts, Dr. Rand McCam and Hannah Wallen. We have a great show lined up for you guys today. Kind of a, like, there's like really big news, but not a lot of news. And then there's little bitty news that's sort of like we can just, shoot the shit with. So this might be like a relatively short show compared to the normal ones, depending, because like you never know. You never know when the inner rant comes out. So, but the reason why, well, this week we're going to be discussing the recent news of actually CEOs of social media platforms are kind of in the news right now. So the CEO of social media platform Telegram, which I use, I'm in a men's group in there. He's been arrested in France, no less. Women are going on dating apps and using ChatGPT to make sure that men are not lying about their height and more. So stick around, it's going to be a good time. And be sure to join us afterwards for the patron only show. So you see here displayed, I have this, I guess it's an opinion piece. We try to keep the after shows light so that we can just kind of like laugh and rant about stuff. And this one comes from Ross McRae, and all I know is the title. I was the only girl in the comic book store. So obviously we know her life was in danger. And plus, she's in the UK. This is about as bad as it gets in that country, especially these days. I mean, it sounds like she was basically experiencing terrorism firsthand. So
it's like she was
That's
being
weird because
gang groomed or something.
I used to go to comic book stores, when I had extra cash to spend on that kind of thing, and I was never the only girl in there.
But Hannah, you haven't been in a in a British comic book store in the year 2024 after they've made misogyny essentially equal to terrorism. So like that, it's not the people that change. It's the way that the institutions frame things that changes the people. You see. So
you don't find in a comic book store anything but white men. I think. Well, Asian men, whatever.
No.
Occasionally Indian because there's loads of them.
So, see, I grew up in Ohio, and it's a different story here. Like there was no. There was no specific color of people in the comic book store. There was no specific sex of people in the comic store. There were guys, there were gals, there were people of all races. The one that I used to like to go to was in Lima, which it's one of the biggest small towns or smallest big cities, I guess, in Ohio. So it had suburbs. Still has suburbs. But I mean, it was a more city-like environment, and its population wasn't all from one background or anything. Everybody enjoys comic book stores to a degree, and they had a pretty big. In fact, they had a pretty big black fan base. So it's not like that here. It might be like that in the UK, but it's not like that here.
When comic books were worth a damn, yes.
Yeah.
These days, I'm surprised that there's anyone in the comic book store besides this woman, because I think that's what books are being written for now, or people like her. But we'll see. Maybe when she says, I was the only girl in the comic book store, she means, no, you don't understand. I was the only person in the comic book store.
That's a distinct possibility.
Yeah, right.
That's sad, though.
Sad. It is sad. Yeah, but I don't know, man. That's another conversation. All I'm saying is that comic books went to crap in the West. I mean, if you go to France, they're not bad, but I don't know if I want to go to France for comic books. I don't think it's worth it. But anyway, because I might get arrested. So if you don't,
worst country ever.
If you guys would like to join us on the patron show to look at and be enlightened by and educated by this obviously like highly intellectual, highbrow, high IQ content, then please consider subscribing by going to feedthebadger.com/subscribe, and you'll be able to watch the additional content as well as lots of other content that is only accessible through the Discord server. And there's a really great community there, and there's lots of stuff going on. Like they have game nights and stuff. They might be doing Cards Against Humanity tonight, right? With Hannah. I know that
Yep.
she's played with them in the past, so yeah, it could be a good time if you like that kind of thing. And if you don't
I
want to
play
wait,
almost every week. So
yeah, see, so you're like a fixture. You're
Pretty
part
much,
of the, yeah.
I'm there too.
Oh, yeah, so Mike does-
if anyone likes me,
No, I didn't know that you were
Everyone
there.
liked it, yeah.
I'm a draw.
I-
I'm a fucking draw.
it would
Yeah,
not
see?
be the same actually without Mike.
Well, I'm sure he
You
has
had to
really
have-
great. I'm sure he has really great cards.
You think so? People assume I'm going to be great at Scrabble because I'm good with words, but I suck at games. I don't know why.
Oh no, you know what? It's just like me and Pictionary. People think that artists are going to be really great at Pictionary. No, we suck because we're too concerned with the craft and we're not getting the point across.
Well, the problem is with Pictionary is that you have to rely on people to know what you mean by what you're drawing.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. Like if somebody said, draw the Lion King, I'm going to try to actually draw Mufasa, and it's going to take too long instead of
Yeah.
just drawing a lion with a crown. You know,
Yeah.
like it's like a scribble, you know. And that's the thing. You got to think in scribbles to play Pictionary, not art. And artists are hard on themselves. They want it to look good, even if
Who
it's
you
a
want to
scribble.
play Pictionary with is a cartoonist and on the same team as his friends.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we digress. So let's get. So anyway, if you want to join us, feedthebadger.com/subscribe. Hannah and Mike are going to be playing Cards Against Humanity tonight, so you should totally join them for that. And if we don't want to wake up one morning to find that all of our content has been removed from the internet for too much bad Pictionary or Cards Against Humanity, then go to badgerfeed.com. That's badgerfeed.com, or not Feed the Badger, but honeybadgerradio.com. Where all of our content is archived. Okay, so let us get into today's stories. We're going to open up with the big one, which has a little bit of a couple of layers to it. So, Pavel Durov, I hope I'm not butchering that, Russian billionaire, dual citizen of France and Russia, and CEO and owner of the messaging app known as Telegram, has been arrested. Durov was arrested shortly after stepping off his private jet in Le Bourget airport, which is outside of Paris. While there was initially no given reason or even announcement as to why Durov was arrested, one insider source said that he was the subject of a French arrest warrant. A statement from Telegram concerning the situation reads as follows, quote, Telegram abides by EU laws, so European Union laws, including the Digital Services Act. Its moderation is within industry standards and constantly improving. Telegram CEO Pavel Durov has nothing to hide and travels frequently in Europe. It is absurd to claim that a platform or its owner are responsible for abuse of the platform. We are awaiting a prompt resolution of this situation. Telegram is with you all, end quote. Shortly after the arrest, the list of charges Durov faced were released, the large majority of which stem from complicity charges, claiming that Durov's failure to adequately moderate his platform made him guilty by association. So, there's a couple people have sort of, said some things about this. I have to share
Chris
this.
Pavlovsky.
Yes,
is
Chris.
that the thing you're gonna? Yeah.
I'm going to show, Chris Pavlovsky of Rumble. He made a tweet and he said, I'm a little late to this, but for good reason. I've just safely departed from Europe. France has threatened Rumble, and now they have crossed a red line by arresting Telegram CEO Pavel Durov, reportedly for not censoring speech. Because the claims are things like, there's danger dangerous people on the Telegram platform, and they're doing scams, and they're grooming, and they're using it to prey on children. They're always like they default to like the think of the children thing, and also spreading. It's not misinformation; it's malinformation. I think is how they're wording it these days. Malinformation,
malinformation
we
is
don't want you
information
to know
that
it.
is true, but they don't want you to know it. They don't want you to use it to inform your decisions.
Because you're sending truth out with bad intentions for the people in power. But anyway, Rumble will not stand for this behavior and will use every legal means available to fight for freedom of expression, a universal human right. We are currently fighting in the courts of France, and we hope for Pavel Durov's immediate release. I giveth the floor to y'all.
Oh my God. I gotta go off about something. All right. This is I don't know enough about whether Telegram has had any kind of scams or anything like that going on to comment on that, but I will say this. Prior to this date, there have been several other internationally used platforms that have come out that have information come out that this is going on. Facebook is a big one. There are a lot of scammers on Facebook, and they not only engage in grooming and exploitation of the underage, they also exploit people who are in the early stages of senile dementia. And they run all kinds of economic scams on the elderly, who some of whom shouldn't be on Facebook, but it's a lot harder to control that than it is to control whether your children are on Facebook or not. But the worst one that I'm aware of, there was a I don't know if the platform even still exists, but there was a platform that was specifically for kids that I saw more than one YouTube channel doing videos where they went on, pretended to be children on this platform. Nobody checked to make sure they actually were children. They didn't have to prove they were children. And they started talking like children. And in particular, they started talking like naive children in the chat areas of this platform. And within minutes, were contacted by predators. It took like just a couple of minutes of posting this or that, that a little girl or a little boy would post. And instantly, it wasn't one predator. It was like 50. And nobody did anything about it. Right? The YouTubers that made these videos, they had to contact the authorities themselves. When they contacted the platform, their accounts were banned. They didn't stop the predators from contacting children. They stopped the people who were investigating from finding out more about the predatory behavior on the platform. And this has been going on for a long time. Like, if you see a platform that is specifically dedicated to children, you can pretty much guarantee that there are predators on that platform trying to get children to meet up with them. And I haven't heard about France having anyone else arrested but this Telegram CEO. And the only reason appears to be that the CEO didn't censor political speech. So you can allow child predators on your platform just as long as you don't challenge the governments of the nations in the EU. But the minute that you challenge the governments of the nations of the EU, everything else you do becomes a huge issue. That's all I have to say about it.
All right.
Yeah.
Mike?
There's a cliche you often run into when you're talking to boomers or normies or anyone in the mainstream media or their associated NPCs. It's the one that goes, You can't trust anything you hear on the internet. Where did you hear about that fact? On the internet? Guffaw! Chuckle, chuckle, you fool. Everything on the internet is wrong, and so on. It's a sentiment that is itself taken axiomatically as an unchallengeable truism. And yet, it's a very odd thing to say. Because the internet is not an organization or an industry or an ideology. It's a utility, like gas or electricity or the telephone. Not even, it literally is the telephone, but with pictures. So it's like saying you can't trust anything you hear on the telephone. Like, surely it depends on who you're listening to. Does it? No. Everything on the telephone is wrong. You should get your information from more reliable sources. Okay, like what? If one-to-one, peer-to-peer communication with anyone in the world, such as one can get from the internet, if that's off the table, what else is there? Where do you get your information, Mr. or Mrs. Normie Boomer NPC? Where do you go for these reliable sources of yours that you fill with such exclusive certainty? It's the TV, isn't it? And the newspapers. It's broadcast media and the press, i.e. the legacy media. Need I remind you, these things are not utilities. Newspapers and TV channels, they are organizations, they are industries, and in many cases they are indeed riddled with strict ideology. They only ever give you one side of the story, or zero sides of a story that they're just trying to bury. On any given subject, they give you one narrative only. And one of those narratives on one of those subjects, funnily enough, is you can't trust anything you hear on the internet. Everything on the internet is wrong unless we say otherwise. That advanced communication technology that poses a direct competition to us and our hegemony, yeah, that thing is evil and wrong, and we need to crack down on it. It's like listening to scribes half a millennium ago decrying the invention of the printing press. This machine is evil and wrong. You can't trust anything you read in print. Doesn't it depend on who's printing it? No, wait. Yes, actually, if we're printing it, then it is happening and it's a good thing. and then a couple of generations later, it's okay. Now you can't believe anything unless it's in print, and we have printed it, and said so on and so forth. It's like listening to people from the Bronze Age decrying the advent of the Iron Age. No, you can't just let anyone smelt metal in their own backyard. Yes, we can. Technology, printer, go brr, and so on. Amusing, is it not, how often this Luddite hysteria is asserted by people who call themselves progressive. Progress is a very slippery and ambiguous word when it comes to politics, but when it comes to technology, it's actually pretty linear. Every new invention brings more order from chaos without uninventing anything else in the process. Is it all that ironic that those who call themselves politically progressive so often tend to be so reactionary with regard to technological progress? Not really, no. Those who call themselves politically progressive are almost always simply lying. They don't want progress, they want control. Especially over language. They want control over everything, but it starts with language. Hence, they start by establishing all these euphemisms for their increasingly insane communist gobbledygook. Once you control language, you control information. And when you control information, you control the world. For the world is made of information. folks, and that's not hippie spiritual talk. It's physics talk. Information is the one thing in the universe that cannot be lost, except possibly at the event horizon of a black hole. We're not sure. That information itself has not yet been found, so to speak. But I digress. I've been digressing for like 10 minutes, but I'm going somewhere. Shut up. Let me cook. It's difficult to describe what's happening to Pavel Durov without some kind of analogy. What with the details being so newfangled and esoteric. But in short, Telegram allows people to have encrypted connections, i.e. private conversations. That's the issue. The rabid control freaks who call themselves progressives they're totally fine with the internet existing as long as they can monitor anything and everything that happens there, sniffing out any inconvenient truths, any malinformation, and accordingly carpet banning anyone who whispers them anywhere. For the most part, they have achieved this with Google and YouTube. They achieved it with Twitter until Elon Musk threw a big old monkey wrench into it. And they achieved it with Facebook until Mark Zuckerberg recently had a brief revelation, and now he's going, I think I might have got played there. Oh, well, we're still going to carry on censoring you. Lol, it was a double bluff, you dumb fucks. Vote Kamala. But yeah, they still haven't achieved this takeover with Gab or Minds or BitChute or Odyssey or Rumble or Telegram. And Telegram is the one they're really worried about, largely because of the robust peer-to-peer encryption thing. But all that really means is a phone call that's not being tapped. See, it all makes hideous sense when you compare it with something simpler. Pavel Durov is being prosecuted for allowing people to talk on the telephone privately without automatically monitoring the conversation and recording the conversation and handing every recording to the government and selling it to the highest corporate bidder, who is also regulated by the government. It's as though they're arresting the CEO of a telecommunications company like BT or AT&T because criminals are having private phone calls about criminal behaviors. It's like arresting the owner of a hotel because he refuses to install wiretaps in every room and cameras in every toilet. That sounds mental, doesn't it? It sounds like something that's not even close to happening, not even in the dystopian future in which we've already found ourselves living. But in the digital world, that's what's happening. That's how desperate they are to control this technology. Do you reckon they can? Open question to the chat. Is it even possible to put reins on this beast? Before you answer, I would advise you to consider China. I've never been there, let alone attempted to use their internet, but I've heard they basically have put reins on this beast in China. They managed it because they got in there quickly in the 90s and the noughties when the internet was still in its Wild West phase. But Western governments, really dragged their feet up the shallow face of Mount Communism. They gave us a good couple of decades to get in there and get the word out and to let everyone know that bronze is not necessarily the way. Waspy little monks with their inky feathers are not necessarily the way. And pearl clutching Karens broadcasting state propaganda into our houses in a monopoly of every available electromagnetic frequency is not necessarily the way. As the saying goes, nothing is more powerful than an idea whose time has come. And that's, well, it's bollocks, actually. It's one of those self-referentially circular deepities, if an idea is powerful enough to have worked, then it stands to reason its time has already come. If it doesn't work, you can just say its time hasn't come. None of this indicates whether or not it's a good idea. It's like saying you can't stop progress. Sometimes you can, and sometimes you should, depending on what it is that's being called progress. If killing babies is progress, maybe you can and should make some attempt to stop it. But if being able to have private conversations is progress, then by crikey, we really ought to be doing everything we can to protect it, because that's how, checks notes, almost all conversations worked for all of history. Privacy is not supposed to be a privilege afforded only to the anointed ones. Privacy is the default. Denying people their privacy is like denying people their silence, like denying people their peace. This, by the way, is what communism is a euphemism for. The abolition of private property, of private business, of private enterprise. We are already at an advanced stage of this cancer, where even the abolition of private conversation is on the cards. It's several stages through the cards. Where the hell do we go from there? Can you even imagine that future? I'm glad you asked. It's private thoughts. The next and possibly final step will be the abolition of private thoughts. How the hell do they do that, I hear you ask? And the answer is, of course, supremely ironic. They'll use technology. This irrational fear of the internet ought to have a name, and I suppose its name could be interpreted as technophobia. But yeah, no, this isn't fear of technology. Megalomaniacs love technology. If it gives them control. They hate technology if it gives liberty to those they wish to control. It's megalomania. It's lust for power. It's control freakery. That's the only constant in this rippling electrostatic sea of hypocrisy. There are far too many people out here who would rather grasp at the fleeting opportunity to control other people than they would fight for the right to control themselves. It's sad, it's tragic, it's infuriating, and it does have something to do with gender relations, ladies and gentlemen, but that is another rather long story, one we've already told in some detail over these 11 arduous years here at Honey Badger Radio. And yes, it has been 11 years now. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe and leave a comment and share this video because sharing is caring.
Thank you, Mike, for saying that for me. Also, they tried to kill him. Okay, so not Mike. I just wanted to say, so the excuse that they make, or the reasoning they make, other than the spreading of malinformation, which is that's a no-go for anyone with half a brain cell, is that this is used for scams and grooming and stalking and all this sort of and it's dangerous for children and beyond, etc. All social medias have that problem though, and children are all over social media. So to say we're going to arrest the CEO of Telegram because of this thing that's happening on Facebook and YouTube and TikTok in particular, and Threads and whatever, Instagram, is ridiculous on its face. This holds no water whatsoever. And what it seems to me is that this is, there are the government is a part of it. And and I don't mean, when I say the government, I don't mean just our government. I mean, like, obviously the European Union is acting on this. And I think we kind of like predicted this way back when there was like there was an article, I think was it Article 13, the European Union passed, that essentially was trying to criminalize sharing Pepe memes. And it was right around an election year when that happened. So this is just like taking that to the next level, because since then a lot more people have been doing their own independent work. You know, we've talked about Rumble often, and the fact that it is at least trying to be a truly free speech platform. And then there's like replace substitutes for Twitter, like well, some people like Truth Social or Parler, but I think that what's Andrew Torba's one called again? Gab is probably like the most like separated, also the most demonized of all the platforms. And generally, you know that something is probably good if the media and the government either ignores it or tells you it's a terrible place you should never go to. That usually means you should. And somebody in the chat mentioned no centralized servers, no platform, and that essentially it should be blockchain. Blockchain one-to-one relays are the answer, impossible to censor. So I think that, yeah, there's going to be like another level beyond that. But all I'm saying is that I stand with Durov. I stand with Rumble and any alternative platforms. If they're coming after them, then you know that they're probably on the right side. So, oh, I know one other thing too is that, you know, BX on Twitter, Rebecca, who does a lot of like reporting and researching into like basically parts of the internet where children are like seriously groomed, and she talked about how there are, you know, people on the internet, organizations, cults that are looking for vulnerable people to, you know, drag into their net. And she said that, and I've seen scams on Telegram. I'm on Telegram, and I've seen it like all the time. I'll go in there and they'll be, you know, catfishing. Women will be like, hey, you know, you want to see my boobies or whatever, and I'm like, no thanks. They'll be like money scams, like, oh, we got all the hot lottery numbers. There'll be black market stuff, but you know, that's
a lot
just
of crypto
like
scams too.
Yeah, crypto scams. But you know, that's just like the nature of, if you want it to be free and you want it to be completely without any government oversight and any censorship, that's what you're gonna get. And it's okay, you just got to deal with that. And you know, if you have kids, keep them off those platforms, because they're gonna run into, you know, I mean, there's gonna be predators on there. That's just the world. The world is not, it is not heaven, it is earth, and earth is a bad place in a lot of ways. So you just got to protect your kids. So that was basically I mean, I just wanted to add to what Mike and Hannah already said. I just wanted to add that, like, nothing that they're accusing Telegram of is unique to Telegram. And
right.
So but the CEO being targeted is unique. And that matters, because they're not doing this to, oh, there was one other thing I was going to share. I forgot to mention this. Let me put this back on the screen. So Elon Musk has also been warned. Sandro Gozzi, I think he's part of the European Union, says if Musk doesn't comply with our laws, the union will close X in Europe. If Elon Musk does not comply with the European rules on digital services, the EU Commission will ask continental operators to block X, or in the most extreme case, will impose the total dismantling of the platform in the territory of the union. So it's obviously it's all about controlling the information and keeping people from here. Let me share this with you guys, because you didn't see it probably. And keeping the information from basically the citizen and the individual. And they're losing control of that. And I think that's why they're freaking out. And the fact, again, that this is an election year, it just sort of like solidifies that. So that's basically, yeah, go ahead.
There's nothing that screams supervillain behavior like threatening people in other countries that you're going to silence their speech in order to police the people in your own country. Like, that's, they're essentially saying that Elon Musk has to impose European laws on everybody, whether they are European or not, in order to operate in Europe. They're not just saying that Europeans are going to be censored. They want Musk to censor Americans as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And this isn't even the first time. I still remember, right, when Mark Pearson went through his ordeal with Sawad Fares, we were not allowed to say her name on Twitter. Like, I had Twitter deleted tweets of mine that said her name in conjunction with that case, even though I'm in the United States and it is not illegal in the United States to name an accuser. It is illegal in the UK, and so she was not to be named on Twitter, and they actually suspended people and made them delete tweets, and they also went in and just deleted tweets that you knew you posted, and that had been tweets you could link to up to a certain point, and then somebody sees it and reports it, and the next thing you know, you go to link to that tweet and it's gone. And I've had that experience multiple times with Twitter. But there is something else that does need to be said about this. All right. There is a cure for, or at least a mostly cure for predatory behavior on the internet, and in particular predatory behavior toward children and elderly people that are in early stages of dementia or who have just slowed down. And it's family. It is family unity and family care. And it's something that the people who are cracking down on this stuff oppose vehemently. The idea that parents should take full responsibility for their children's safety. And the dumb thing is, if I was still a young parent and my kid was elementary school age, for instance, if I let my son or my stepdaughters run free in Dayton with no supervision, go a mile away from my house to the park in our neighborhood unsupervised, and they were there unsupervised, and somebody called Child Protective Services, the girls never would have been allowed to come back, and they might have actually taken our son. Like, they would have said, this is bad parenting. You can't have kids in your home. You aren't taking care of them. They're in danger because of you. You're done. But nobody does anything like that or talks to parents about that in regard to letting their kids use the internet unsupervised, which is a much more dangerous thing to do, right, than sending them to a park across the street from a school. And yet we hear all the time, this platform is safe for kids, that platform is safe for kids. That is always a lie. There is never going to be a platform where the people who run the platform can effectively always police what's going on their platform to the degree that you should let your children use it unsupervised. There just isn't a way to do that. And it's bad enough, that people think that this is okay, that this is safe, and that they can just let their kids use. I mean, they use the internet as a babysitter, and these sites as babysitting sites. But it's even worse, that these platforms respond by actively punishing people who try to alert them when there is a problem. And the fact that happens, and that's the site that I was talking about isn't the only site that's done that. I got suspended on Twitter for reporting pedophiles. I learned really fast, you do not tell Twitter when somebody harasses you with we'll just say I ended up contacting law enforcement in the end, and got better results. But I got suspended by Twitter for reporting to them when I should have reported to law enforcement in the first place. And if you see something like that on a platform where somebody is attempting to rope you in to a scam, or soliciting children, or posting images or other things that are illegal, buy my illegal drugs, buy my illegal currency, scam, whatever, don't bother reporting to the platform because they won't do anything about it, and you might actually get penalized. Document, aside from don't document CP, but report to the authorities. Give every detail that you can, and block the individual, and leave it at that. But your kids, don't give them 5 minutes on the internet without your supervision. And if your parents are elderly, check in with them frequently, about stuff like that, and keep in touch with them on social media that they're on, because it's very common for their accounts to be targeted. My parents were targeted. They were still savvy enough to not have that problem where they were susceptible to it, but they were targeted. And some of the stuff that they were targeted with it would have been transparent, much more easily transparent to them when they were younger. It wasn't so transparent that they didn't feel a sense of doubt in their old age, and they asked me about it. And you should have that kind of relationship with the people that you're close to. And the breaking up of families, the distancing of people from each other by the types of policies and by the systems that have been created by progressive politics, is actually creating an environment in which those safety measures are not being taken. That contact with your parents, that monitoring of your children. You don't have a parent in the home with the child. The child's online unsupervised at school. The child is online unsupervised while mom or dad is scrambling to make dinner after work and things like that. You end up with your kid getting communications from somebody that they should never hear from in their entire life. So yeah, this is a result, indirectly, but definitely a result of feminism and of progressive politics that are particularly gynocentric.
Yeah. All right, well, let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments. I'm going to move on to the next story, but I did get a super chat from Meredith G. I wanted to get that in there before I forget, because I will forget. So she gives us $5 and says, HBR News 469. Nice. No, it's never suspicious when someone is arrested by a country at an airport that is technically international space, because this isn't about crimes. It's about being able to get access to people's communications. Yeah, thank you, Meredith. Really appreciate that. Let us move on to the next story. So the rest of these are really little ones. That was really the main story, but I did want to address this. So JD Vance was confronted at an interview. He's actually, so if you don't know, if you're not American, you don't pay attention, JD Vance is the vice presidential candidate that's running in 2024, and he has been dragged through the mud by the media, as always. Just like anyone who associates with the Orange Man in any capacity, they have to find ways to make him look bad. And he was confronted on the abortion topic, which, let's be clear, the Democrats are running on this because it's all they have. It's essentially, how do we get the woman vote? Yesterday, on Monday, yesterday, I did a fireside chat. I thought it was excellent, with a gentleman named Arvis, who is part of a group of ex-military or former military men who have been falsely accused, and they did not get justice, because the military judicial system is absolutely awful for men, and it's all based in, let's get this over with. It's worse than the colleges, but it's sort of like the colleges, except they have their own internal courts. But anyway, after the show was over, he and I were talking, because we didn't really get into politics on the show. We've just focused on what the issues was. And he said, I got to tell you, Brian, I didn't want to bring it up on the show because I didn't want people to think I was partisan, but all of the stuff that I'm talking about, this happened to him under the Obama administration, under the Democrats. And he said that he actually has some Republicans that are supporting them, but that they're too afraid to speak out. And I'm like, well, they probably got dirt on those guys. He's like, yeah, they probably do. So but my point is that they do this because, and it's the same thing with the military. What happened with the military is that they were like, okay, we understand that rape culture is a problem, and we know this because we are told this by essentially academic feminists and feminist activists organizations and feminists in politics. So that means, because we know this is true because they told us this, then that means that there is this problem in the military, and we just have to get more convictions. And so they were literally focused on, we need to get those conviction numbers up because these are things must be happening because feminists told us so. So a lot of guys have had their lives ruined. And it doesn't, some guys saw jail time, some guys didn't. No one did well. And the reason I'm saying all that, I think you should watch the Fireside Chat. That was great. But I'm saying all that to set this up because this is the platform, okay? They're not running on the border. They're not running on the economy. They're not running on foreign wars and foreign policy. They're certainly not running on men's issues. So all they have is women's issues. And the only women's issue is abortion. Now, when we covered the overturning of Roe v. Wade way back when that happened, I said, and I think we all said, that this is going to be their new, that's what they're going to run on. It's going to be everything. And so JD Vance was confronted by a journalist saying that, Trump's going to put what did he say? A national abortion ban if reelected. And Vance disagreed. He said Donald Trump's view is that we want the individual states and their individual cultures and their unique political sensibilities to make these decisions because we don't want to have a nonstop federal conflict over this issue. So basically, it's just an issue of that, but this isn't going to stop them from running with it. And I'm pointing this out because there are a lot of women, and they're all over the political spectrum. In fact, I just saw a study today that showed the majority of women that are voting for Kamala on the abortion issue, as though it's not just their top issue, it's the only issue, is essentially suburban white women. So probably women with kids, by the way.
Awful
themselves.
You know what awfuls are, right?
No.
Affluent white female urban liberals.
Yeah.
Or you can swap liberals for leftists. That works just as well. But yeah, that sort of nails. Like I was saying on, I think it was Thursday's show. The Democrats act like they're trying to appeal to women in general and non-whites in general, but they're appealing to awfuls, affluent white female urban liberals, because they're approaching half of the electorate, if not only because they're so good at vote harvesting, and yeah, it's all smoke and mirrors, and they're assuming they're going to be able to get all the awfuls, and maybe they can, but they're only going for the awfuls. Like I say, they claim they're trying to get the black vote. They claim they're trying to get the rural vote, but they're not. They're just trying to get the awful vote because they know who the awfuls hate. Can anyone out there tell me who the awfuls hate? It's straight white cisgendered Christian men. It's just like you saw at the DMC. None of it was, here's our policies. It was all, here's why Orange Man is bad.
Here's why all men are bad. Really, a lot of it.
It's especially Orange Man, but we are not racist. We do not care about the color of people's skin unless it's orange. And yeah, they have no idea of what forward is. All they have is this pretzeled concept of what backwards is, and it's tradition. Tradition is weird, and everything else is progress, which I believe I've already covered in some detail.
It's never going to end. All right. campaigning on the concept of women's issues is never going to end. Every politician has to pander to it. Every politician is going to be involved in it, and there isn't an escape from it for politicians, because the largest voting bloc that votes together is women. It's an unfortunate truth. You have two groups of women that are in competition with each other, and the abortion issue is and how polarized it is and how prevalent it is in the discussion is just a symptom of that. Right? The abortion industry is women scamming women into doing the dumbest thing, one of the dumbest things a woman can possibly do. And that is being careless with her reproductive choices. And there is no male victimization of women as a oppressive factor involved in that. There is no men forcing women to get pregnant. There is no men forcing women to have abortions in this situation. It's women scamming women. And the reason I say this is I researched this in response to, God, I can't think of the name of the movie, but it was basically a movie made in response to the issue recently, just the last few years, in which they went through the story, a made-up story of a particular woman who had a medical issue and needed an abortion according to her doctor, and couldn't get one because one hospital wouldn't do an abortion for her. And so you end up with this whole underground system helping her, and the rest of the movie is about that underground system. So I looked into that underground system, and it was woman run, right? It was woman powered. Women did all of the footwork, all the legwork of bringing women in to have abortions, and occasionally they would involve a doctor, an OB-GYN that was a man, who was sympathetic to women's causes. But the women were in charge, and it was the women who were seeking abortions. And the number of abortions that are estimated to have been done annually by this group, this movement, is far more than people would imagine. Because they talk about it like women only sought abortions through them for medical reasons, right? The movie presents it that way. But when you look into the numbers, the number of abortions that were done annually by this indicates that women were seeking abortions from illegal abortions from them for the same reasons that they seek abortions legally today. There are over 500,000 abortions done annually in the United States. It is big business. It is lucrative for Planned Parenthood and other organizations that do this business. And it's lucrative at both ends because they charge to perform the procedure, and then they sell the parts. They sell the body parts. And I don't care how you excuse the selling of the body parts, they're still selling parts of dead bodies. So this idea that there's any male victimization of women involved there is bullshit. It's women exploiting women, and a lot of the women that go do this later regret it. Many of them are naive. Many of them believe the bullshit about, well, it's just tissue. Well, it's not a living thing. Even though they go through school and they learn all about reproduction, they learn all about what constitutes a living organism and everything, they get convinced that this particular living organism that has human DNA is not a living human organism, and therefore, they can kill it. And at the other end of it, the primary objectors to abortion are women who have figured out that it's a scam. It's not men trying to police women's bodies. It's women trying to get women to understand that this is a dumb idea and you shouldn't do it. And it's better to prevent being faced with the possibility in the first place by being careful with your reproductive choices. And the women who are pro-abortion hate us, right? They hate us because we are suggesting that women should use the tools available to them and girls should use the tools available to them to avoid getting pregnant in the first place when they're not ready to have a baby and they're not going to raise that baby with a man that they've gotten pregnant by, right? Then they shouldn't do it. Shouldn't get pregnant in the first place. And it's not like women don't have a plethora of ways to prevent that. You absolutely can. There are literally dozens of ways to prevent pregnancy. So it's not difficult. It's not rocket science. It's not even expensive to prevent pregnancy. So yeah, the issue is not a men's issue, right? The only aspect of it that is a men's issue is that a woman can kill your baby and there's nothing you can do about it. That is a men's issue. Men have no way to stop it. And as far as men's ability to deal with that, it goes up to the line of the discussion about sexual violence, because a woman can also get away with raping a man and then killing his baby. And there's nothing he can do about it. And if she doesn't, she can get child support. Men have no equivalent recourse. So there's really no making this an issue of men attacking women, right? But what do we hear from women on both sides? What do we hear from conservative women when they talk about abortion and what a bad thing it is? They treat it like it's men scamming women. And what do we hear from progressive women when they talk about abortion and how important it is to them? They treat it like it's men trying to take it away from women. They're both lying. Both sides know. Women on both sides know that this is an issue of women scamming women. And they still blame men. And if they're going to do that on the absolute most contentious issue, the issue where the other side is always the devil, no matter which side you're on, no matter what angle you take, the other side is always the devil. That tells you how women treat men in regard to any kind of issue that can be considered a gender issue. Right? Politicians have to run for office in that environment. So what you should look for in terms of a politician, while we're waiting for one to come along that doesn't pander to women at all, is look for the politician that at least tries to pander to women's sense of accountability. That's about the best we're going to get right now. Right? The politician that says, we can see that when women take control of their lives and make mindful decisions and don't do stupid shit, their lives are better. And so we want to advocate for women to be able to make those choices and to be encouraged to make smarter choices. So basically the candidates that want to see family protected, the candidates that want to see women discouraged from engaging in stupid choices like abortion, the politicians that are willing to call women out for being childless cat ladies and criticizing a man with a family as a weirdo, right? The women who lie about men, the women who make false allegations, and the women who lie about masculinity. Right? Though that's about as good as we're going to get. We're lucky that a politician will even do that. And until we push more in our society, and the Overton window is heavy, but until we push more in our society to make it the norm for people to recognize that when women make bad choices, it's their fault, and the consequences of those choices are their fault. This is all we're going to get.
Yeah. Well, that's the reality. Like, we're not ready for anything more than this because women are not ready. So,
This, far be it from me to prescribe what Americans should be voting for, but there is some logic and indeed some pragmatism that can be sprinkled on this situation. I say this for the sake of those who gravitate to the hard line of pro-life, those few who are turning away from Trump because he's not hardline enough on the subject. This is a sentiment that's being memed right now, so I'll do my best to join in with the memeing and the back and forth and whatnot. Ahem. Candidate A wants to kill 90% of babies. 90. Candidate B wants to kill 0.01% of babies. But I want to kill 0% of babies. So I don't know who to vote for. None of these options meet my criteria. So I'll guess I'll just vote independent. Oh wait, that guy just sided with the guy who wants to kill 0.01% of babies, and that seems to have lowered the aggregate total. Is it 0% yet? No, it's now 0.001%. Oh well, never mind. If the candidate who wants to kill 90% of babies happens to get in, then that's life. There was nothing I could have done to stop it. This will be written on your gravestone, America. It's already written on ours.
all right.
I knew I would never be a good example, but I knew I could be a hideous warning.
That's probably better. All right, so we're going to move on, but first, I did get a super chat from Richard Bier. He gives us $5 and says, "Did you hear about Hassan Piker getting kicked out of the DNC convention? Also saw a humorous clip where someone being introduced as an illegal immigrant was being denied entry into the DNC convention because he didn't have ID and other credentials." No, I haven't really been following it, but that is kind of hilarious if true. Yeah, so thank you, Richard Bier, for that. We're gonna move on to the final story. Let's bring it up here. This one, I don't know if this is cringe or if it deserves like applause. I'm not sure, but it appears, let me just share oh, I am sharing this one. That's good. Okay. So it appears that single women are using ChatGPT to expose men for lying about their height on dating apps. You little liars. So this is kind of a short one. Why don't I, oh, you know what? Let me see if I have the right, because I'm pretty sure that yeah, I did do this one. Okay. Some men on dating apps have apparently been misleading potential partners about their height, but women are now using AI, specifically ChatGPT, to catch them in the act. Justine Moore, a venture capitalist, shared that women can upload photos to ChatGPT, which can estimate a person's height based on proportions and surroundings. Moore tested this on friends and family, and the AI's estimates were within an inch of the real height. This development could spell trouble for shorter men who have been exaggerating their height, as studies show women generally prefer taller men. Despite ChatGPT's ability to expose these deceptions, the AI also serves other purposes, in case you guys don't know, like helping with everyday tasks and also acting as a matchmaker, apparently. Moore suggests that Gen Z women are particularly adept at finding innovative uses like this one for ChatGPT.
I reckon I'm thinking right now what a lot of people are thinking right now. I'm okay with this as long as y'all are okay with that app that removes women's makeup. That y'all remember that?
What about if men use the app to get ChatGPT to estimate their weight?
Yeah.
What about that?
Women lie about that and their age. Women lie about their age all the time. That's a big one.
This has been an
How
issue
many
since-
women say they're 39 and counting for the next 50 years after they turn 30?
They're using
After they
AI
turn
to,
39.
they're using AI to figure this shit when Photoshop was decades ahead of the game, doing for women what apparently only AI can crack through when it comes to men. And this is what I mean about the app that removes women's makeup. That really pissed them off. You know why it pissed so many women off? To be able to see their faces without the makeup, because the app was so fucking good, because it was so accurate. These caked up women are, because of that app, they were thrust face with their real face.
You mean like face cake or like cake?
I mean, probably both. But
yeah.
It
Yeah, you have to watch out. Women object to being caked in the mouth.
But yeah, that app actually showed you what Anna Kasparian looks like without the 1,000 layers of clown. Dave Cullen actually met Anna Kasparian at VidCon 2017. We were there as well.
Yeah, I remember. We were there. Shout out to Dave Cullen. What's up, bruh?
Yeah. Dave showed me this selfie that he took with this random hag, this wholly unremarkable swamp donkey, and he's like,
whoa, Mike, you can't call women hags. That's an anti-Semitic remark. I don't know if you know.
Really?
You can't go around doing.
Because I get called that all the time.
It's an anti-Semitic trope to call a woman a hag.
I didn't even know she was a woman when Dave showed me this photo, and he's like, check it out, Mike, and then I'm like, who's that? And he's like, it's fucking Anna Kasparian. What? It's not even the same person. I swear. I don't even know how he recognized her. I could have walked right past her and thought that looks like someone you'd see on an Egyptian street corner selling falafel or something. I mean, I'm not surprised, but at the same time, I am. When you've got the clown face on, Anna, you are. Yeah. And yeah, this is why I refuse to participate in these parlor games people play. Like, is she hot? Talking about some celebrity or other. Would you? Is she hot? I don't know how to, because my answer is I don't know. I can't see her face. 99 times out of 100, you're not looking at a human face. You're looking at 1,000 layers of clown. So you're just asking me, do you think this woman's clown face is hot? And actually, no, mate. Come to think of it, Joe, I'm going to confess something. I have never had any sexual thoughts while looking at a clown face. Do I need therapy? Am I weird? But yeah, by all means, use AI to determine how tall a man is, so he doesn't trick you into receiving misleading impressions about his measurable aesthetic attributes. If you want equality, this is the kind of equality I'm on board with. Anyone can use any app or any AI that can unweave the tapestries of aesthetic deception that are available to and implemented by anyone else. I think is this unanimous or not? Can we shake on it? Can we? And yes, we can, until that too becomes illegal. And the CEO of the app that removes makeup from women's pictures gets arrested and imprisoned for 20 years, while the multi-billion-dollar industry that paints 1,000 clowns on the faces of 1 billion women remains mysteriously too big to fail. You can't arrest the majority. That's the fucked up thing. Like we were talking about last week, with how misogyny is becoming a terrorist offense in the UK, nobody expresses even a fraction of misogyny that is even comparable to the fountain of misandry that will spew from the mouth of every other human being. If misandry was illegal, like misogyny is illegal, you would have to arrest half of the population. So of course it's not going to happen. Even if they made misandry illegal, no one would be arrested. The police and the courts would simply never recognize anything as misandry. No matter what, no matter how much people say, I hate men, I want to kill all men, I'm going to kill all men. It's just, nothing. No, it's not misandry. Nothing is misandry. And yet, it's not just a legal matter when it comes to this gigantic fatberg blockage of misandry in the system. We can condemn men who lie about their appearance because there aren't very many of them, and we can easily pick them off. Starting with Trump, right? He wears makeup. Wow, what a narcissist. But if we condemn women who lie about their appearance by wearing makeup, we'd be condemning really rather a lot of women, more than we can put. But yeah, well, yeah. I mean, based. Why not? I'm just illustrating the imbalance of the situation. The more imbalanced it is, the harder it is to correct that imbalance. And boy, howdy-roo, are we ever at the point of imbalance where it looks like nothing but a Herculean effort can bring back equilibrium. We need to work together, folks. Put our petty differences aside and face the largest problem we have. No, it's not the immigrants. It's the horribly broken state of gender relations going on in this imploding empire of us. Everything else is a symptom. You guys know that. I'm just saying, get the word out. So someone can carry on culling the leaves of this ideology, but someone else needs to be there pulling out the roots of it. Teamwork. You're all fucking chop. You like how I managed to extract a motivational speech from the vapid schlock that is this article. Subscribe for more.
What's really interesting to me here is the bigger picture on this in regards to dating and what it says about the rift between men and women, because we're looking at a situation here where women get mad if a man is more than an inch shorter than he says he is, right? And they're using ChatGPT to actually check this. Meanwhile, these same women are perfectly comfortable wearing fake hair, a fake face, fake boobs, a fake ass, wearing clothing that restricts their body from showing its true shape. There's literally underwear you can buy that you have to roll up over your fat rolls that can significantly shrink them, especially if it's that loose, fluffy cellulite kind of fat, right? These same women wear all that stuff, that combination of prosthetics and corsets or other cinching devices to hide their appearance, but they're mad if a man is a little bit shorter than they want him to be, right? They don't care about his personality. They don't care about whether he is a full-grown adult or not, or at least 3 in 10 of them don't care if he's a full-grown adult or not, right? But they give a crap whether he's tall, because being tall is apparently more important than anything else. And yet these are the same women, when asked what they bring to the table, who will tell you they are the table. They want a man who makes 6 figures. They want him to be 6 feet tall. They want a guy with a big dick, even though that doesn't really make a difference in terms of sexual pleasure. They just want it there for looks, right? But they are the table. Do they have a job? No. Do they have a kid by some other guy? Probably. Right? Are they real half the time? No. And I don't even mean, are they AI? I mean, are they fake personalities? Do they fake everything? Do they fake being nice? Do they fake being interesting? Yes. It's not just the fake hair. It's not just the makeup. It's not just the fake boobs. It's not just the fake ass. And by the way, when a woman wants to look taller than she is, she wears high heels. I used to have a pair of 6-inch heels, and I'm tall. You know, by comparison, I'm tall. Even now that I've shrunk, I'm still taller than the average woman. Right? Nobody complains about that. Women faking their height. Women faking everything about their personality. Women padding their resume when they're claiming they are the table. Yeah, men have to be totally open books, totally real, and totally perfect, or they don't deserve relationships. This is why there is a gap, why there is a gulf between men and women. Because women take no accountability whatsoever for their end of a relationship. They don't feel obligated to bring anything to the table. They don't feel obligated to be worth partnering with, and they don't feel obligated to be a partner in the relationship. But they sure as hell want you to do all those things. Right? Why on earth would there suddenly, in this environment, be an epidemic of women who are single that wouldn't have been single 10 or 15 or 20 years ago? Maybe it's that. Maybe it's the fact that men are fed up with that shit. Maybe it's the fact that a large majority of women aren't worth having relationships with. Maybe it's the fact that being involved isn't a relationship when it comes to a large majority of women. So yeah, they can make it tall order all they like, but if they really want to find the man they're looking for, maybe women need to grow up, and instead of trying to catch him in a lie, they should remove the board from their own eye before addressing the speck in their neighbors.
Well said. Well, thank you, Hannah, for that. And let me just make sure there's no super chows or super chats or anything that I'm missing here. I don't think so. So we're going to end the show there. Yeah, I got not much else to add. So yeah, it was all very good. I mean, it just sort of shows that, like, as there are more tools that I think allow women to be more and more selective, then there will be more and more disparities, because there will be, like, more and more reason for women to not settle ultimately. And these are just like little ways that it just kind of shaves away at that, right? Because and the funny thing is too is that the accuracy can be off by like an inch. It's probably not even proven. So women might make really important decisions potentially based on very shallow reasoning coming from this app. So, but anyway, yeah, too bad for them. So anyway, we're gonna head into the patron only show. We're gonna look at this article from the BBC. I was the only girl in the comic book store, which could be interesting. I don't know what's in it. So if you guys want to join us, go to feedthebadgers.com/subscribe and be a part of our community, and you'll be able to watch the additional content and participate in all the additional activities. And if you just want to like check it out and see what it's like in there, you can go to badgernation.online and try the free version. It gives you still, the community's there and there's lots going on. So that's badgernation.online. All right, thank you guys for coming on the show. If you guys like this video, please hit that like button, subscribe if you're already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. Oh, and if you dislike the video, feel free to give it a thumbs down too. All feedback is welcome. And please share this video, because sharing is caring. Thank you so much for coming on today's episode of HBR News, and we will see you next Tuesday. They tried to kill him.
are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.